Health and wellness are more than a destination. They are a process and a journey of personal choice. Come hear from people out in the field, doing the work, bringing health and wellness to many. Welcome. We're delighted today to have with us Dr. Jeroen van Berckel-Smit. He's a general practitioner in the Netherlands here, and he's also a classical homeopathy practitioner, which is very special, of course, because you help people heal in other ways than the traditional medical model. So, but you also work in the traditional, so I find that very fascinating. I also know of you, and I know you're amazing in your work. You help many people all day long. You're my hero in many ways. I would like to ask you about how this all began for you, and a little bit about your experiences these years.
Yes, okay. Well, fine that I can be here with you and talk about some of my experiences. If I go back when I started as a doctor, actually maybe I start from the university on, because we had of course a medical course as usual, and but on the third year of our study we got 1 hour homeopathy. It was a special situation. It was the only university in the Netherlands who did that, and for some reason in the 1900s, so very long time ago, they decided to give homeopathy education on the medical university, and they fixed that so that it would continue forever.
Oh, wow.
That's very interesting. But of course that gave a lot of contrast, because we had at 1 hour we had internal medicine, and then the next hour that was the hour of homeopathy, and that was a complete different way of looking. But I loved the doctor. He was also a general practitioner, and he was speaking so nice about his patients and how we looked at the patients. So somehow there was something, which was born in my heart. I said, oh, that's something I want to know more. And well, in the meantime, we also got a subject which was called medical philosophy, and that made also a big change of my life, because we discussed the way how medicine and how that was at this time, but they also looked back in history, and they said, well, there were times that we looked completely different to the body, for example. And then we are talking about the time of Hippocrates and Galenus, and that's 2,000 and more years ago.
It's amazing.
So we were introduced in another way of looking. They say, well, there is a different kind of paradigm, I think that's the English word. And well, there was a time, maybe more than 12 centuries, that they looked to the heart as a completely different organ than what is at the moment now. There was more something which has to do with like the tides of the ocean, like coming up and going down, and then in the 17th century, when the science came up, then they discovered, when they opened the body, they saw a pump. And it was a completely different way of looking, and so this helped me to understand that what the professor is telling you is a part of the story, but maybe not the whole part of the story. So you may look different. So that came into my mind, and it never went away.
It's as if we don't know everything.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
We're still struggling,
Yeah.
right, to understand the complete picture of body, mind, spirit, because it all matters.
Yes, and of course we are helped, because in the past there were big people who said, well, you may look in this way, and or in that way, and so that you don't have to find it all yourself. Of course, we can learn from the great teachers. So that made me search for more knowledge about that, the different way of looking, and I was fortunate. I was in a group of doctors who studied Ayurveda. That's also one of our oldest medicines. The written texts are from 3,000 years ago at least, and so I got introduced in other ways of looking and more integrated ways of looking than that. A way of looking where the mind and the body are more
They're
together.
influencing they
And
influence
yes,
each other.
of course. Now, they are still influencing each other, but that was very precisely written down, how you could look to the body and how you can interpret it, the symptoms, and etc. etc. Now, so the Ayurveda helped me at one point. The homeopathy was also a different way of looking. And so I, after my study, when I finished medicine, I had to serve in the army, actually, for 2 years, yes.
Wow.
And that was here at that time, was it?
It was like an obligatory,
yes. And then, because they saw that, well, we have to be kind for our doctors, so you may study something, they say, on our cost, we paid. And so I said, well, I will study homeopathy. I had no time during the university study, so I wanted to go more deeply into it. So at that time I studied it, and when I got out of service, then I could start my practice as a homeopathic doctor, actually. And I was sure that after a few years, that this was the position to be there. It was a front position. It was first care for people. So, but I worked as a specialist, as a homeopathic specialist, and so I understood, well, the next step to go is to be a general practitioner, because in Holland, as a GP, you are also in the front line.
Yeah, that's true.
And you get people, well, who the first thing they do if they have some problems, they call the doctor and the GP. So I understood that's the position. But it was, for me, a difficult step, because I was very connected with the new ways of thinking, and the traditional medicine, was. I had to overcome some resistance, you can say, because
I can imagine, because people had been trained differently.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
So if we look at that, Dr. Smit, if we look at two ways that people have been trained in the modern medical model, which is very physical, and then you look at this more holistic model, which is ancient, actually.
Yeah.
So if you had to describe them, and how did you connect them? Like, that's that was a difficult thing, to be in that position.
Yeah. Well, then first, of course, you must be stimulated to look more widely, and well, for me, the homeopathy was helping to look more widely. You can discuss about if the medicine works, but it helped anyhow to look more widely to the case, because in that tradition of homeopathy, you had to look at not only the physical symptoms, but also the mental and emotional symptoms, and you should join them. So there was already a connection between these two, and so it helped me to go further, to ask about this part of the story, the mental, emotional part. And what happened was that as soon as you touched that, then could feel the connection. Well, now we are on the right track. This is
It's interesting.
going to the
Wow.
point. Yeah?
It's like the cause in a way.
Somehow, yes. It was actually, you need the emotion. If you don't touch that, then you are on the superficial layer, and so this well, I experienced by myself, and then I understood. Okay, so there's a key. Yeah, so try to get a connection, because the things, yeah, the symptoms and the things which happen to people, they are not just by accident.
No.
There is some order.
Yeah, that's out of order.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Amazing.
Yes. So, well, so that helped me to look different. So that's one that's one part of the story, and so the integration goes maybe in a twist of the mind that you may go on the physical track. Of course we have to do an examination, and we have to exclude all different diseases which could be there, but then sometimes you get in a split second you get some point, you feel something, or you go to another way of looking, and it's like
It's like an awareness, like,
yes,
oh wow,
something like that. Yes,
this is it.
it's like you use at once the other side of the brain, something like that.
I understand.
Yeah, something
Wow.
like that. Yeah.
I have to remember when I met you many years ago. I was very young, and I had looked up that I wanted a different kind of doctor, but I didn't know who, and I just saw that you also were a specialist in this classical homeopathy. So I thought, well, let's see, maybe he has another mindset. And I was starting to grow in this new way of thinking. And so I met you and I couldn't breathe. I was like having a cough. And I remember you listened to my whole story, which was phenomenal. And you listened to the emotions and the thoughts that I was worried about. And then you gave me one remedy. And I will never forget it, because I took the remedy and 10 minutes later, I could breathe. It was like not normal. It was over.
Okay.
It was like it was
Yeah.
so perfect. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
maybe sometimes you don't always have the perfect, you have to
Yeah.
try, right? You don't
Yes.
know, because we're so unique. Every person, you have to try a remedy and see if it works. And just like people have to sometimes try medicines and see if they work. But I found that an extraordinary experience
Yes.
with you. And
Yeah.
I had it over and over again with you, with my children, etc. So I definitely saw the I guess the strength of it, the power of it, to look at the whole, look at the person in this way, and with different kinds of alternative ideas. Now, when you're giving,
yeah.
can you maybe, for the audience who doesn't understand what classical homeopathy is, can you give a little explanation?
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
don't.
I will tell you. It is an interesting remedy, which it may be a little frightening because it's arsenic. Arsenic.
Oh, the one you gave me then?
Well, maybe. Well, I don't know. But arsenic is a mineral, and
It's another
and
remedy.
we know
Yeah.
arsenic is very poisonous, actually. Yeah. So well, in the past I always loved poisonous things because I thought, well, that is really powerful somehow. But already Hippocrates said, well, the biggest poison may be the bestest remedy. And the opposite, a remedy can maybe also a poison. It depends on the situation. So the arsenic is actually a very old known remedy, but you must know how to use it. In this case, it was about a man who was coming to die. Actually, it was in his last days, and he was suffering from anxiety because he saw his body going downwards. And it made him afraid because, well, we know all that if your body doesn't work, you feel something. Well,
You're scared.
yeah, you get scared, and the famous thing is that arsenic, we know from it that it gives, if you give it to healthy people, you give deterioration of health, and you become completely,
yeah.
and you become completely pale, etc. Well, that's a situation which fits to the situation of that man. So as soon as I saw, well, he was restless and he was anxious at night, then I gave him this arsenic, and I explained to the people around, to his wife and children, well, don't be afraid from the remedy. It's very low doses, so don't be afraid, but it may help him to get some distance to his body, which is really going down. Well, and he slept, and he was really peaceful after that. So, and that is not the first time that I see very frequently. So this simple example of, well, a remedy which is actually, you can say, a poison, but it may help if you give it in the right dose, very low dose, very low.
And it's in a little pill, so it's not hardly,
pill,
is it more the energy of it?
You can say it's somehow how they make the medication is, well, it's, you can say it's still not completely cleared up how it works, but Hahnemann, which was the famous doctor who invented it, who discovered actually the method, he saw by preparing the remedy, and it has it has to be diluted and shaken, but he tried to get a remedy which was not poisonous, and at that time, and that was in 1800, there were a lot of poisonous situations because they used mercury and all other poisonous medication for syphilis, etc. It was a very dark part of history of medicine, actually, and so Hahnemann tried to find a way to be not harmful, actually. So, well, I hope this is an explanation how homeopathy may work, but it works only if there is a resonance, if there is if it is a similar, if a similar situation between the remedy and the person or the symptoms.
So we understand, we see more and more quantum physics, and all these new sciences are showing us the power of energy. We are just energy. And obviously when patients come to you, they're out of balance. So their energetic field is also out of balance, which a field is composed of your mind, your emotions, your body, all together, right? And so they come to you with a story, and then you have to sort of decide which remedy would help rebalance them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, well, it's not always a remedy in some medication. Sometimes a rebalance is just eat less or move more or whatever, some change in daily
lifestyle,
life. So there are many things, but the imbalance is for sure is there, and you have to recognize what has to be readjusted, and there are of course a lot of tools to come there. So if I can make it more broad, you can say that the science of medicine as now covers this part of the cake, and we have and you can even say, well, if the general practice is somewhere maybe this part, and on one side you have the specialists and the very the arts, also the super specialists. You can say they are on the edge on this part, and on the other side is more the part of readjusting the balance and more helping your self-healing power.
Yeah.
So that is this part, and what of course it belongs to the whole medical story, or you can also say it belongs to mankind, that we must be interested in all the possibilities there are to help people.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. So up till now, the modern medicine has been very busy just with this part.
Yeah.
And that has its problem because it's not exactly covering the self-healing or the lifestyle always, or the things people can do themselves, but also this kind of frequency medicine that's coming. So I feel like ultimately, perhaps in the future, many years from now, we'll know more, be more integrated. And I feel like that's where we've got to go.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want to hear what you feel
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
I think that's right. Maybe a little history is interesting, because in the past, actually, this integration was there. But it was somehow during time, it was for reasons, it was lost. And in the 17th century, when the Enlightenment period was there, then, some people know about Descartes. There was a philosopher. He lived also in Holland, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Nice.
he felt very good here. But he said, well, I see this development of science, and I see that we go deeper and deeper also into the body, but I'm afraid that the mind will lose its part. Let's separate it. That's for the religion, and
Interesting.
and the body is for the doctor and for the scientist. So he made some discrimination or some division between these two, and he said, well, that would help to make it more the science more concrete, and they can go deeper.
So very physical, obviously.
Yeah. So that was maybe some people say, well, that was a very bad thought. Others say, well, he tried to prevent that the religion would not go away. Yeah, so there are different approaches to that statement he made.
So if I'm hearing you right, then you could go to the religion for your spiritual healing. And maybe emotional healing, and you can go to the doctor for physical. But where were the psychologists? Not even there yet.
Yeah, well, they belonged actually at that time to the religion.
Okay,
yeah. That was all.
Interesting.
That was all not. You could not measure it, because measurement was. That was the thing.
Okay, I get that.
We have to measure things. You get microscopes, you get astronomy, and everything was measured, and we got
then it was the science.
Yeah, that was science. Mm-hmm. So, and then then there was another doctor, was Locker, I think. He was also a philosopher, and he said, well, if we want to really go deeper into the case, we must exclude a lot of things. So please let them go deeper, but make it more simple, actually. So we call it reductionism.
Yeah.
And if you reduce a lot of things, which you think, well, that's not the case, you can say everything the person is doing around the house, for example, not interesting. No, I just want your body, etc. Now, so it helped to go deeper, but it also caused some loss of information.
It's like a disconnect.
Yeah.
It's like people started going into such detail to learn. I mean, that was the process, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah.
But in the process now, like what we see, you have all these specialists and they don't have the holistic vision anymore. So they've kind of lost it.
That's right. So, well, then of course the time developed, and it was in the 1910, I think, that in America, in the United States, they had to decide, well, what would be the right university? There were a lot of universities, and they said, well, this should be the way
Like
the
for medical
medicine,
schools, yeah.
would be given.
Yeah.
And then a lot of universities who did also this holistic part, they were dropped. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a very important step in the development of science. But on the other hand, the science went deeper and deeper, and so, well, for some, from some point of view, there was a really good development. But on the other hand, we could, well, we know we discovered DNA and
Yeah, of
etc.
course.
And it's beautiful, of course, and we can do a lot of things with it. But on the other hand, the connection with this other part of mankind, especially the mental, emotional, and spiritual part, that was completely lost. That was not connected, actually.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So, well, so what we now see, this super specialism. Well, I was talking something about history for. There were pathologists, and there were pathologists only for children, and that's a very interesting group. Well, they go deep and they help children very good who are very sick. So beautiful.
Because what they learn.
Yeah. But the connection with this old tradition, it was not there. But I saw that they were quite open-minded, and so I could talk for them. That was funny, because I was a generalist. They were a super specialist, but they understood somehow that that there are different ways of looking. Actually, what I learned in university, there are different ways of looking, and I hope, of course, that this that there is somehow a reunion. I now I see that a lot of doctors in Holland, the new GPs, that they are interested. They have no knowledge, completely not.
Of this other side.
But they feel, hey, there's something interesting. So they're quite open, but they have no knowledge. It's very interesting. And so
we have to
I think there is a time that now we had the time is, we say, it's ripe. We
Yeah,
say
it's ripe.
ripe. Yeah. To give them this knowledge.
It's like almost ancient wisdom in a way.
I think,
It is.
And
somehow we lost it. I think you're right.
Yeah, and somehow the students and they know it, they feel it. There's more, and well, that's a start. Yeah.
True. And when I was a nurse, I can say when I would watch people die, it was obvious that we weren't our bodies, because you could almost see an energy field lift off. It's really interesting, and I could see and feel the auras. I'm able to do that, and I think you can just see that. So if now we have more and more kids being born that can see auras, they can see all this. So they're looking for this information. That's also interesting.
Yeah.
But where would you say, I'm very curious, so you've had a long history with doing both, actually, and you've really helped your clients with both. And so in a way, you're a perfect doctor to teach this new generation, because you've been doing it for so many years. But I'm curious where you see, when I say the word integrative medicine, what that would look like in the future. So because it's going to look different, because we also have gotten this specialty, right? Because we do appreciate all the modern technologies the world has made. So I'm curious how you see that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say there are two ways to look at that subject. Integration somehow must come because there are different ways to come to this new balance. So we have to know it, and we maybe we don't know it all by ourselves, but you have to find people who know some about other approaches, maybe approaches which help for this rebalancing or of stimulating the self-healing property. So that's one thing. That's also an integration of
Knowledge,
people who have different talents, you can say. So that's one thing. And the other thing is the integration in the person himself or herself. Because I think it's also time that we come to the knowledge the person carries in himself. So
Like
so
inner
how
wisdom.
yeah, so yes, what do you
And we
know?
appreciate
Yes,
it.
yes. And so not the doctor tells what is good for me. No, I discover myself what's good for me.
Yeah.
And how do we help people to discover what's good for them? Because, well, I may say honestly that I'm only you can say we look through, how do you call that?
Oh, the keyhole.
Yes, the
Yes,
keyhole.
the keyhole.
So we are keyhole lookers, something like that. So we see only a little part. People come here, maybe you talk with them for half an hour, that's already much, sometimes only 10 minutes. Yeah? So what do we know about their history? Only a little bit. So the real knowledge is probably more close to the person who is sitting before you.
Yeah.
And
so when you're in emergency, obviously
yeah.
you don't have time for that. But when we're talking
Yes,
about
that's
health
right. Yes.
and becoming more well and not just surviving, because we have a situation right now where many
Yeah.
people are in the modern, right?
Yeah.
Modern, and they're just surviving on 4 medicines, or they don't feel good, they're not optimal, they're not happy.
Yeah.
So we've got to take that, maybe start to look at some other these other old ancient wisdom and new technologies coming, in my opinion, and I think you agree, to kind of help the people get new solutions. And I think you're right about this, to look inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you can't do everything. Of course, if you are in an emergency case,
Yeah.
you need help from
You
another.
need help.
You
don't have time
Yeah,
for
if you
that,
break your leg, well, maybe good that someone
Yeah.
helps you to put it right.
Yeah.
Of course. But in a lot of situations, the person really needs to be a part of the active story, and so I would say integration has also to do with the relation between you say the doctor or the helper or the coach and the
So
patient.
more in teams, like more
No, also,
respecting,
but
the
also
doctor and the patient.
yes,
Yeah.
something happens if you have really contact, then something
Yeah, to trust and
in between,
Yeah.
somewhere here.
I
You can
agree.
say knowledge is somewhere here, yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere in between.
Yeah, you come to it together.
Yeah.
But I was thinking as you
Yeah.
were describing this,
Yeah.
as when I said team, more like if you can imagine that we start to respect different ancient wisdom in our, if the modern can start to, instead of just saying, no, you're wrong, we're right, and they can open to this ancient knowledge and learn and work with them, sort of like you are an expert in this, we will get far more for everyone, because we won't just keep, what I noticed growing up, because I'm older now, but it was really closed off. I remember when the midwives came into our Georgetown, and they just made fun of them, and they didn't. And yet I saw how the midwives helped so many of their clients not get in a C-section and a good outcome. So I wasn't like, my observation skills were not like, oh, these midwives are horrible. Yes, I do think certain things like first babies should be in the hospital, but but still the doctors, they just have such prescribed ways of thinking. And it is true, if you look at that, many get C-sections, right? So we have to, and that has its complications and its troubles. So if we look at every avenue, every part of medicine, and we were to say, if they could open to this other idea, these other, what you're discussing, that they don't know everything, that there is some knowledge that maybe would help. And then maybe in the future, we can be more working in teams where we respect the other's knowledge. I think that's really, I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, well,
But
that
I
is
really-
that. I think yes, you work in teams. I think that would be the case. You can't do it alone. the situation, just one doctor who is working alone and who is caring for his patients. I think that is too much fixed, and well, that is not necessary.
It's going to change. Is what
You may work together, of course, because I think you need the talents of different persons.
like you have in your practice,
For
different
example,
people working, helping you.
Yeah, I think, but how to work with these talents? Well, that's of course a different story. How to come there? So maybe at this moment I can say, well, we have some at this moment in Holland we have some movements, you can say,
Like a movement,
movements,
a new ideas.
yes, and it's called positive health.
Oh yeah.
And it is it's invented in Holland, actually, this term, and it has to do with trying to get first to see more the whole picture of the person, what is all going around a person, what helps in feeling well. Is it his physical body, or is it mental, or is it spiritual? Are there spiritual questions, or is it just I want to share the society and I miss that? Or well, there are different issues,
Yeah.
And so first you have to find, well, what is the situation at this moment. So there's a chart for it, and you can find it out, and then you have to find out what first step the person may do, will, from his own will. So not that I say, well, now you have to reduce your weight. No. Maybe you first have to establish a good contact with your neighbor, for example. So that
Or
could
your
be
self-esteem,
whatever, or
yeah.
you have to clean your kitchen, whatever. Yeah,
I like that.
Yes.
There might be other things.
Yeah, other
Yes,
things, right?
yeah.
So what's very important is that you find the first step, not being that you feel completely fatigued because you see a long road to health. No, try to find the first step. And this project, Positive Health, may help actually the doctor to find this first step, but the energy and the power comes from the person himself. That's very important. Not pushing, not forcing.
They take like a sovereign.
Yeah.
They're able to realize that they are responsible for this in the end.
It has to do with responsibility.
Yeah, because it's not like I'm going to go to you and then the old way is like the doctor's going to save me. And sometimes you do need saving, but maybe we do get in a new integrative system closer to the people not needing to be saved so much because they took care along the road. They didn't let this stuff pile up, like you said, clean their kitchen. But what you're really saying is clean out the cobwebs, the old stuff in them that they're carrying that make their life so heavy and difficult.
Of course, but somewhere you must start.
You must start.
And it may really start in the kitchen, yes.
So I'm curious about the new technological advances, like we see them everywhere, and we're about to enter this amazing new age, right, Aquarius, where we're going to have more and more. But how have you experienced this in your own practice?
We see in practice daily that what is the advantage of a good surgeon who helps people who break their leg and they can stand the next day, and that really helps people to go on. So this is an example of extreme technology and what we can do with surgery, what we can do with treating also cancer or a lot of diseases who has very interesting protocols and and may help people. So this is one part of the story. To get on, there is a lot of technology which may help. So that is one thing. To touch the reason for going on, that's a difference.
And that's the other side
Yes,
that we're talking about.
so I love the technological development, and I see the benefit very much of it. I also use medication, of course, on daily basis, because, well, if I want to treat a depression or I want high blood pressure, I have good medication and know what it will do. But of course, it's a part of the story. We always have to remember, okay, going on with your life is interesting, but is it a good idea? Or is a little pain maybe better for you to understand why I have headache, for example?
Or like the reflection of that high blood pressure, like the way that you're dealing with stress, right? This is
for example,
obvious.
yes, of course. So a lot of technology and medication helps in going on, and continue with
getting over a
life.
bump.
Yes, so that's very important. But we must also, as well as consider what we are doing actually. And how how it happened that we
got that high blood pressure and got
for example.
that. Exactly.
So
Wow.
so I can't see it separately. But I love this. Well, when I read the story of a cardiologist, it's almost a technical story.
Yeah.
With a lot of abbreviations, and it is very
and they
technical.
do many different things, because
Yes.
they used to have to open you up, and
They can
now
even
they just go.
displace a valve
Yeah.
of your heart by the vein. It's very, very interesting, and it prevents them from an open heart surgery. So that's, of course, beautiful. That you can continue. But the other question, of course, is, okay,
Why did you
good
have
that your
that?
heart? Well, it's good that your heart maybe gets now some support, but on the are you still interested in what your heart telling more?
Yeah.
Something like
love
that.
Yeah, and we know that the heart is the largest electromagnetic field, so obviously it has emotional issues, right? It's not just
so,
physical.
Yes, of course. And you can feel it,
Yeah, of
you
course.
can feel it.
You can really feel when you're hurt, or when someone hurts you, like that word that you broke my heart. You don't say that for nothing, right? So I think we're so connected.
I have also an interesting story. I had recently a course for it was about cardiology. Actually, it was about rhythm problems.
Okay.
And so it's very technical, and we can now also do an ECG. It's just the cardiogram, yes, by just with two fingers, and we have it immediately. It's
Amazing.
very, very simple now, and we can see if there is some rhythm problem, but this doctor said, well, we now discover that it would be good to feel the pulse with every patient, because, well, then we can easily find the first signs of rhythm problems.
With the pulse.
Yeah, but we lost somehow this attitude, and also the really contact, because if we want to know the pulse, a lot of my colleagues, well, I also do, we have this oxymeter. We put it on the finger and we see, 80 or 70 or whatever, and then we say, okay.
So we don't do it ourselves.
No, that's not, because it touch of the body, but also of the artery. It connected to the heart, and that's all signs. Well, you can. I'm sure you can feel much more. And I'm not a specialist in this, because there are people who can do really diagnosis with it. But it is very interesting just to touch the artery on the right way, and just relax. We focus on that, like how do you say that? like an exercise or
Yes,
like
yes. I understand. I think you're saying something. I mean, it's true. I used to be in those emergency situations, and that's much easier just to feel the pulse than to go get all that equipment. It might not even be in the room. Sometimes it is, but yeah, I know what you mean, and that we don't want to lose touch with the patient.
Yeah.
This is the issue. Like if we get so technical, we won't even be able to
Yeah.
do what we really could do as a
Yeah.
human being, right?
Yeah, but the funny thing was that this cardiologist, which is a super specialist, said, well, now we have to we go back, we have to feel the pulse again.
We have to teach them.
Yeah, and as a new discovery.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
That's very funny. I get it.
Thing. Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Smith. So tell me about cellular health. What is your thought about our new understanding? And we've like discovered the cells a long time ago.
Yeah.
But we've recently just discovered all the outside of the cell, that it's important, and the cell membrane, and how our cells are constantly communicating, and we're communicating with our cells, and
it has a lot of secrets inside. It's not only this DNA, which is the thing. It follows more the life which is there in the on
there's
the border.
There's so much happening in the membrane, right?
So, well, maybe we should see it as a reflection of life. It's all about this. What is happening around us? We are
how
also
we perceive, right?
Yeah. Maybe we also we stand, of course, in an environment with our senses and. Maybe a little like trees on the earth, and maybe like the cell membrane in the body.
Yeah.
So I think it gives a kind of reflection how life works. We are connected to the environment, and this interaction
has a lot to do with
what
health.
I think so. Well, because there is the balance. So I don't know if this gives a tool for treatment, but that's a next step maybe. But the idea of the living force which is there in the membrane. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith.
Okay.
You're so lovely. This was a wonderful day.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.